My mother was born in Litchfield, but these Litchfields around Scioto were real distant. At one time there was 4 different Litchfield families or men around and in Scioto. One of them run the grocery store. One of them broke show horses to drive. One I went to school with, and Miller Litchfield was about 6'3" and always full of fun. So he got the fence shocker deals was just coming in right good, and he had a metal trough. And in those days we didn't run the leftovers from the kitchen table, and we'll call it, they usually had a 5-gallon, what they call a slop can, to put the waste out from the kitchen. They'd take it out and pour it in this metal trough in the hog lot. So he got the idea. He hooked that electric fencer up to this metal trough, and he taught those hogs. They soon learned. They didn't dare stick their nose down in that slop in that metal trough until he gave the word, because he would pour it in, and if there was too many there, of course he turned on the shocker machine, I reckon, and gritted his teeth and emptied out the can. Then when he's all ready, he'd say, "Okay." He unplug it, and he said all the pigs was lined up on both sides. They'd all, right that quick, they start cleaning up the slop out of that. So it was such a good thing. He hooked it up and told his daughter Betty, that was the youngest of his 2 kids, Bonnie was the older girl, emptied the slop. She went out there and poured it out, and he had it hooked up. She threw the slop bucket in the air, and she got over. She got soaked. Miller had a big laugh about that. Well, just in the morning or 2 after that, his fence business, dividing off his clover field, and the pasture part of it, and the rest was for hay. It got a short in it. Betty saw him going with the pliers down along the electric wire to see where the short was. Well, of course, he had it turned off out at the barn. She slips out around way back of the hen house and comes in the back end of the barn, looks out the window until she saw her dad down on his knees working on the electric fence. She pushed the switch. Miller threw his wire pliers so far out in the clover field, he told Daddy, he said, I looked for that for at least 15 or 30 minutes before I finally found my pliers. Well, of course he knew what had happened. There he came from the house to get a hold of his daughter, and about the second time chasing her around the house, his wife was short and heavy set. She stepped out in front and put her finger in Miller's face and said, "You just got what you deserved, now quit it." And everything quieted down. Now, Hazel, his wife, was real short and heavy set, and she was in the 5 and 10 cent store. At that time was in the northeast corner of the square at Macomb, and they was in there doing some shopping. And like I said, Miller was always full of fun and so forth. He just walks up behind his wife with all that fancy dress, flowered dress, and used his thumb on her and said, "Hon, it's about time we left." The woman that turned around was not his wife. And poor Miller yanked off his hat, and he was all full of trying to think of what to say to apologize. And here come his wife, and what in the world's wrong? And this woman turned around. She was a good sport. She looked at Hazel, and they looked at each other and found out what was that. And they all three were friends from then on.